Hello students, I welcome you all for my today's class. So today we are going to discuss on a topic of infertility. The modern Ayurveda aspect of it is we have already covered about Vandhyatva. So today we are going to discuss about the modern aspect of Vandhyata, that is infertility. So coming to its definition, how will define infertility? Yes, the definition of infertility goes like this. Infertility is defined as failure to conceive or failure to achieve conception within 1 or more years of regular unprotected coitus is termed as infertility. Means a couple after the 1 or more years of having regular unprotected coitus, if they are unable to achieve pregnancy or they are unable to conceive, then that condition is termed as infertility. So the duration should be minimum of 1 year. Okay, minimum of 1 year we can wait for the spontaneous pregnancy to occur. If they are failed to occur, then only we can say it as a infertility. Okay, so infertility according to modern is of two types: primary infertility and secondary infertility. As we have already covered about the Vandhyatva types, as per Charaka it is of the 3 types, as per Harita it is of 6 types we have covered. No, Charakas types Apraja and Vandhya, somewhat similar to the Charakas type we have given. So here the infertility is of 2 types: primary infertility and the secondary infertility. Yes, the name itself suggests primary infertility. That means it denotes those patients who have never conceived, and secondary infertility indicates the previous pregnancy but failure to conceive subsequently. That means the woman might have already had undergone abortions, or she is already having children, but for the second time or for the third time she is unable to conceive again. So such a condition is called as the secondary infertility. And there is a term used in the science, that is the fecundability. Fecundability is defined as the probability of achieving a pregnancy within one menstrual cycle. That is called as fecundability. Okay, that means how much the probability is there of a pregnancy within a single cycle. So that capacity is called as fecundability. In a healthy young couple, it is 20%. So within a single cycle, achievement of whatever the probability of achievement of conception is there, it is in a healthy couple it is only 20%. That's why 1 year time we have to give to the couple. Fecundability or fecundity is the probability of achieving a live birth within a single cycle. So this is a fecundability means the probability of achieving a pregnancy within a single cycle. Fecundity is the probability of achieving a live birth within a single cycle. So that is a fecundity. Then coming to the incidence, 80% of the couples achieve conception if they so desire within 1 year of having regular intercourse with adequate frequency, that is 4 to 5 times a week. Another 10% will achieve the objective by the end of second year. As such, 10% remains infertile by the end of second year. So these are the incidence. Okay, probability ratio. Usually 80% can achieve within a year if they desire, so means if they are not using any contraceptives etc, and 10% patient can achieve with by the end of second year, and only 10% can remain infertile. So see, 2 years there are chances of spontaneous pregnancy within the first 2 years of marriage. So now coming to the, before starting infertility, let us see what are the factors which are essential for conception. So for the conception, healthy spermatozoa should be deposited high in the vagina or at the or near the cervix. That is a male factor. The spermatozoa should undergo changes like capacitation, acrosomal reaction, and they acquire the motility, that is a cervical factor again. Means here there should not be presence of any anti-sperm antibodies in the cervix which kills the sperm. So cervical factor also plays a very important role. Then the motile spermatozoa should ascend through the cervix into the uterine cavity and the fallopian tubes. So here the ascent should be there, means the spermatozoa should be motile, motility should be there, and without any problem, means there is no any hindrance in the path of the uterine cavity and the fallopian tube. So they should reach the fallopian tubes, because Why in the fallopian tubes? Because fertilization occurs in the ampullar part of the fallopian tubes. Then thereafter there should be ovulation, because when ovum is present, then only it's of use. When the sperm comes, there only the fertilization can occur. So the cycle should be ovulatory. So this indicates the ovarian factor. There should be ovulation. Okay. Then the fallopian tubes must be patent, and the oocyte should be picked up by the fimbriated end of the tube. It's called the tubal factor. So here the fallopian tubes must be patent, means there should not be any block or any adhesions in the tubes, and the oocyte should be picked up by the fimbriated end of the tube, that is the tubal factor. So there should be patent enough to pick up the oocyte, which is released from the ovary, and which is picked up with the fimbriated end of the tube, and then the oocyte enters into the fallopian tube, and there it waits for the sperm for the fertilization, and there only the fertilization occurs. So the tubes should be patent. There should not be any block, there should not be any adhesions in the tube, it means. So tubal factor also play a very important role in the achievement of conception. And next point is the spermatozoa should fertilize the oocyte at the ampulla of the tube. Then the spermatozoa should be healthy enough to fertilize the oocyte at the ampullary part of the fallopian tube. So these are the essential factors for the conception. And two more points are there, that is the embryo should reach the uterine cavity after 3 to 4 days of fertilization. So after achieving the fertilization, next comes the implantation. For the implantation, the embryo should reach the uterine cavity after 3 to 4 days of fertilization. Okay, so that is also plays very important role, because most of the abortion occurs because of the failure of implantation. Implantation failure can lead to the repeated abortions in the early trimesters, you can say, in the early days after conception. Then the endometrium should be receptive. See, this is also very important. For the implantation purpose, endometrium should be receptive by the estrogen, progesterone, IGF-1, cytokinins, integrin, etc. the factors. It should be prepared for the implantation, and the corpus luteum should function adequately. So that means the endometrium should be in its secretory phase. Corpus luteum should be present. It secretes the progesterone, and it prepares the endometrium to receive the fertilized egg, that is, it prepares the endometrium for the implantation. So the endometrium should be receptive. So these are the essential factors responsible for conception. If there occurs any problem because of any causes in these factors, then it may lead to the infertility or the problem with the conception. So certain physiological considerations are also there, like due to anovulation, infertility is a rule prior to the puberty and after menopause. Yes, we cannot expect the pregnancy in a puberty age girls, and even after achieving menopause, that is in the post menopausal women. But it should be remembered that the girl may be pregnant even before menarche, and the pregnancy is possible within few months of menopause. See, this type of scientific miracles, what we can say, is also possible. See, if the girl has not attained puberty, but she is near to the puberty age, then there are chances of again the conception. And suppose after attaining menopause, there are very less chances of ovulation, you can say, because menopause is nothing but the absence of menstruation and absence of ovulation because of the lack of the ovarian reserve. They are not having the follicles. But sometimes, suppose few follicles are remaining, some hormones comes, and like very very rare chances of pregnancy, but chances are there, but very 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 rare chances. Okay, conception is not possible during pregnancy as the pituitary gonadal axis is suppressed by SCG. See, again, during the pregnancy, again one more conception or one more pregnancy cannot occur if she is already pregnant, because there is no ovulation during the pregnancy. During lactation, infertility is said to be relative. Despite the fact that the patient is amenorrheic, during lactation, ovulation and conception can occur. So the patient is amenorrheic during lactation, you can say, if she is having any lactational amenorrhea and all. But sometimes there are chances of ovulation even in the lactational period also. So you cannot say the lactational amenorrhea provides 100% physiological contraceptive benefits to the woman, but sometimes it provides, obviously, but sometimes there are chances of ovulation also. So we can better to start the contraceptives in the lactational period itself. However, in fully lactating woman who is breastfeeding 5 to 6 times a day, spending 60 minutes in 24 hours, pregnancy is unlikely up to 10 weeks of postpartum. But if she is fully lactating, then less chances of her to become pregnant up to the 10 weeks of postpartum. So these are the certain physiological consideration we should be kept in our mind. Then next, coming to the causes of infertility, conception depends on the infertility potential of both the male and female partner. The male is directly responsible in about 30 to 40%, female is about 40 to 55%, and both are responsible in about 10% of the cases. So here infertility may be because of only male partner, which counts about 30 to 40%. That's why we always should ask couple to come for their first visit to the gynecologist. Both should come, not only a female, because male factors also we have to rule out it, because it cost about 30 to 40% of the infertility, and female is responsible for 40 to 55%, and both are, whereas both are responsible for about 10%. In them both causes may be there, means suppose female is also having some problem, male is also having, so together they are having, both they are having the problem is about 10%, but remaining 10% is unexplained, that is unknown. In spite of thorough investigation with modern technical knowledge etc., we cannot find the cause, so those comes under the unknown causes of infertility. Yeah, in Ayurveda we say it as a daiva, means unknown causes. It is also strange that 4 out of 10 patients of unexplained category becomes pregnant within 3 years without having any specific treatment. And it is also emphasized that the relative subfertility of one partner may sometimes be counterbalanced by the high fertility of the another partner. So this can also occur. So now coming to the causes of male factor causes, or causes in the faults in the male, those are broadly classified into 4 headings. One is the defective spermatogenesis. First one is the defective spermatogenesis. Second is the obstruction of the afferent duct system. Third is the failure to deposit sperms high in the vagina, and fourth is the errors in the seminal fluid. So these are the 4 main faults in the male. First is the defective spermatogenesis. Yes, as we know, the normal process of spermatogenesis takes somewhat 74 days. An additional 12 to 20 days are needed for the spermatozoa to travel through the epididymis. So for this spermatogenesis, as for oogenesis, FSH is the main trigger. Follicle stimulating hormone stimulates the spermatogenesis from basal cells of the seminiferous tubules. Sertoli cells develop the germ cells and support spermatogenesis. Sertoli cell function is controlled by the FSH and testosterone. Scrotal temperature should be 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit less than the body temperature. LH is required for the synthesis of testosterone from the Leydig cells. FSH also stimulates the Sertoli cells to produce ABP, that is the androgen binding proteins, and inhibin B. ABP binds to the testosterone and dehydrogesterone to maintain the local high concentration of androgens. Spermatogenesis and sperm maturation needs a high androgenic environment. Inhibin B inhibits FSH secretion. That's why the spermatogenesis is again controlled mainly by the genes on Y chromosome. Approximately 74 days are required to complete the process of spermatogenesis. Additional 12 to 20 days are needed for the spermatozoa to travel the epididymis. So there may be defective spermatogenesis. Next, causes of male infertility. The important causes of male infertility are: first is the hypothalamic pituitary disorders, which leads to 1 to 2%. Primary gonadal disorders, which is cause about 30 to 40%. Disorders of the sperm transport 10 to 20%. Idiopathic causes again 40 to 50%. So in this diagram you can see the different causes of the in the table you can see. Before that we will read about congenital. See, congenital causes. What may be the congenital causes? Congenital causes includes like undescended testes, Carter-Jenner's syndrome, it is an autosomal disease, and hypospadiasis. Undescended testis, the hormone secretion remains unaffected, but the spermatogenesis is depressed. Vasa difference is absent bilateral in about 1 to 2% of infertile males. Carter-Jenner syndrome, autosomal disease, there is loss of ciliary function and sperm motility. Hypospadias is nothing but the failure because of the there will be problem with the urethral meatus problem will be there because of the skin, it is covered with the skin. So failure to deposit sperm high in the vagina may occur. Then thermal factors, the scrotal temperature should be always less than the body temperature, but here there are certain conditions where the scrotal temperature is raised, like in cases of varicocele. Varicocele probably interferes with the cooling mechanism, or it increases catecholamine concentration. However, no definitive association with the varicoceles and infertility has been established, but whatever the factors which can raise the scrotal temperature can also cause the defects in the sperm or semen. Then infections, certain infections can also cause problem, like mumps orchitis after puberty may permanently damage the spermatogenesis. Mumps orchitis, we should not neglect this condition, because mumps can even damage the spermatogenesis, so this have to be treated first. Then the quality of the sperm is adequately affected by the chronic systemic illnesses like bronchiectasis. Bacterial or viral infection of the seminal vesicle, prostate depresses the semen count and the sperm count also. Then certain infections can also may lead to certain problems like mycoplasma, chlamydia, trichomatis, etc. infections. General factors, chronic debilitating diseases, malnutrition, heavy smoking. Yes, smoking also reduces the spermatogenesis. Alcohol increases in alcohol also inhibits the spermatogenesis either by alcohol inhibits spermatogenesis either by suppressing Leydig cell synthesis of testosterone or probably by suppressing gonadotrophin levels. Endocrinal causes include certain syndromes like Kallmann syndrome, Sertoli cell-only syndrome, testicular failure due to gonadotrophin deficiency, like in cases of Kallmann syndrome, is very rare, but you have to rule out this condition also. FSH level is raised in idiopathic testicular failure with the germ cell hypoplasia, like in cases of Sertoli cell only syndrome. Then certain cases hyperprolactinemia is also associated with impotence. Genetic causes, common chromosomal abnormalities in azoospermic male is Klinefelter syndrome, which is 47XXY. Gene deletion have been detected in the long arm of the Y chromosome. For the patients with severe oligospermia and azoospermia, if you have got a case of oligospermia and azoospermia, then you have to rule out the genetic causes also. Karyotyping can send patient for karyotype to know their chromosomal pattern, whether it is normal or not. Or in cases of Klinefelter like 47XXY, XXY, there will be problem, like you'll get the severe oligospermia or azoospermia cases. Iatrogenic, like radiation, cytotoxic drugs, nitrofurantoin, cimetidine, beta blockers, antihypertensives, anticonvulsants, and then antidepressants are likely to hinder with the spermatogenesis. So if the patient is taking all these drugs, you have to ask the history. You can stop for certain time. If you can stop, if the patient is well, then you can stop all these medicines if you're treating for the infertility. Immunological factor like antibiotics, antibodies against the spermatozoal surface antigens may be the cause of infertility. This results in clumping of the spermatozoa after ejaculation. The next factor is the obstruction of the efferent ducts. The efferent ducts may be obstructed by infection like tubercular, gonococcal, or by surgical trauma, like in cases of herniorrhaphy, etc., following vasectomy. So in Young syndrome, there is epididymal obstruction and bronchiectasis. So what may be the cause? But if the obstruction of the efferent ducts occur, then the semen is unable to come out or pass through the efferent ducts. So it may lead to the infertility. Then third point is failure to deposit sperm high in the vagina is called as the coital problems. It can occur because of some erectile dysfunction, ejaculatory defect like premature, retrograde, or absence of ejaculation, or hypospadias. The next is sperm abnormality. loss of sperm motility called as asthenospermia, abnormal sperm morphology called as like in cases of round-headed sperm, teratozospermia are the important factors. Next point is errors in the seminal fluid. Errors can be like usually high or low volume of ejaculate, low fructose content, high prostaglandin content, and undue viscosity. This is all about the causes of the male factors. So here there is a table, you can go through the table. Like the table, the male causes, common causes of male infertility is classified into pretesticular, testicular, and post-testicular causes. Like in the pretesticular, endocrine, sexual, drugs, and genetics are included. In the testicular, the factors related with the testicles like varicocele, Sertoli cell only syndrome, primary testicular failure, infections, etc. are included. And the post-testicular, it includes the obstruction of efferent ducts like in cases of congenital, absence of vasa deferens, Young syndrome, acquired infection, tuberculosis, gonorrhea, surgery like herniorrhaphy, vasectomy, and others like ejaculatory failure, retrograde ejaculation, hypospadias, bladder neck surgery, etc. So this all includes the male causes. Next is about the causes of female infertility. According to FIGO manual, the main causes are tubal and peritoneal factors contribute to 25 to 35%, ovulatory factors contribute to 30 to 40%, and endometriosis contributes to 1 to 10%. Ovarian factors, coming to first the ovarian factors. The ovarian dysfunctions includes anovulation or oligovulation, decreased ovarian reserve, luteal phase defects, luteinized unruptured follicle. So anovulation or oligovulation. See, ovulation is very important for the achievement of conception, but in a case as woman is having anovulation or oligovulation, in such case it will be difficult. The ovarian activity is totally dependent on the gonadotrophin and the normal secretion of gonadotrophin. So in cases of ovarian dysfunction, it is to be likely to be linked with the disturbed HPO axis, either primary or secondary from thyroid or adrenal dysfunction. Thus the disturbances may result not only in the anovulation but may also produce oligomenorrhea or even amenorrhea. Anovulatory cycles usually represent a lesser degree of disturbances with these normal pathways than does amenorrhea. Possible causes of anovulation are given here. As there is no ovulation, there is no corpus luteum formation. In the absence of progesterone, there is no secretory endometrium in the second half of the cycle, and the other features will be there. The next point is about the luteal phase defect, LPD. In this condition, there is inadequate growth and the function of the corpus luteum. That means corpus luteum is not properly formed in this case, and there is inadequate secretion of the progesterone. The lifespan of the corpus luteum should be 12 days minimum, but it is shortened to less than 10 days. As a result, there is inadequate secretory changes in the endometrium, which hinders with the implantation. LPD is due to defective folliculogenesis, which again may be due to varied reasons. Drug-induced ovulation, decreased level of FSH in LH, elevated prolactin, subclinical hypothyroidism, older women, pelvic endometriosis, dysfunction uterine bleeding are the important causes. Next, about the in that ovulatory factor only, last point is about the luteinized unruptured follicle, also called as the trapped ovum. In this condition, the ovum is trapped inside the follicle, which gets luteinized. The cause is obscure but may be associated with the pelvic endometriosis or with the hyperprolactinemia. Tubal and peritoneal factors are responsible for about 30 to 40% cases of female infertility. The obstruction of the tubes may be due to pelvic infections causing peritoneal adhesions, endosalpingeal damage, previous tubal surgeries or sterilization, salpingitis ischemica nodosa. Here the nodes are produced, nodules are seen because of the inflammation. Tubal endometriosis, the endometriosis seen in the tubes, and others, polyps and the mucous debris within the lumen, tubal lumen, and the tubal spasm. Then peritoneal factors includes, in addition to the pretubal adhesions, even minimal endometriosis can produce infertility. See, the minimum peritoneal endometriosis can cause infertility. Deep dyspareunia too often troubles the patient. In that case, the possible multifactorial mechanism which operate is we have already discussed in the endometriosis chapter. Then next, about the uterine factors. The endometrium may be sufficiently receptive enough for the effective nidation or implantation and the growth of the fertilized ovum. The possible factors that interfere with the nidation are uterine hypoplasia, where the uterus is not formed properly, inadequate secretory endometrium, fibroid uterus, that is the tumors present in the uterus, endometritis, that is the tubercular, that is the inflammation of the endometrium, uterine synechia is the adhesions in the uterus, or congenital malformation of uterus. So we have already covered all these things. The cervical factors includes anatomical and physiological. Anatomical defects preventing sperm ascent may be due to the congenital elongation of the cervix, second degree uterine prolapse, or acute retroverted uterus. This condition prevents the external os to bath in the seminal pool. The pinhole os may at times be implicated, or the cervical canal may be occluded by a polyps. Then physiological, the fault lies in the composition of the cervical mucus so much that the spermatozoa fail to penetrate the mucus. The mucus may be scanty following amputation, conization, or deep cauterization of the cervix. The abnormal constituents includes the excessive viscous or the purulent discharge, as in chronic cervicitis. Presence of antisperm or sperm immobilizing antibodies may be implicated as immunological factor of infertility. The next, about the vaginal factors. It includes atresia of vagina, partial or complete, transverse vaginal septum, septate vagina, and narrow introitus causing dyspareunia are included in the congenital group. Vaginitis and the purulent discharge may at times be implicated, but pregnancy too often occurs in the presence of vaginitis, specific or a non-specific. However, dyspareunia may be a real problem in such cases. And here this is a diagram showing the different causes of female infertility. See here: pelvic causes, uterine causes, tubal causes, cervical factors, ovarian factors, and the peritoneal causes. Next, about the combined causes. Combined factors or the combined causes. These includes the presence of factors both in the male and female partners causing infertility. General factors: the advanced age of the wife beyond 35 years is related, but spermatogenesis continues throughout the life, although aging reduces the fertility in male also. Infrequent intercourse, that is the lack of knowledge of the coital technique and timing of the coitus to utilize the fertile period or the rutukala, are very much common even amongst the literate couple. Then apareunia and dyspareunia, and anxiety and apprehension. Then use of lubricants during intercourse may sometimes the lubricants are spermicidal, so lubricants if used during intercourse can also leads to infertility. And immunological factors. So these are the causes of infertility in male factor, in female factor, as well as in the combined causes of infertility. So the next, about the investigations, we will see in the next class. Thank you.